a list of everybody that attended the first meeting and the second meeting who wanted to speak. We had 165 people on the docket to speak last meeting, plus six that spoke the first night, which is 171 speakers. Of that, actually I think it makes 173 because we had one that wasn't on the list. So out of 173 speakers, we only had 71 actually speak. So 102 people said they wanted to speak, made the effort to show up, but didn't stand up to speak. Of that majority, of those number of people, a majority of them were for the project. A minority were against the project. Some of the reasons said he should go take his jobs to China. One of them said it was bad air. They're anti-litigation, which I don't understand, and they said there's a drought involved, so we don't need to do any improvements. One person says that they don't really care about the project. They just want the EIR recirculated. They said that they don't want Alessandro Boulevard messed with, the ARB letter, the CARB letter. They want all the costs to be of Highland Fairview, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it just keeps going down. They said the EIR is flawed, understates the effects. They said the Badlands aren't good enough. I mean, countless numbers of comments. Similarly, this binder right here is 483 letters individually addressed to me at my home address. I ran for city council last year, and I went out and knocked on with my team nearly 4,000 doors. Of those 4,000 doors, of the people that answered, an overwhelming majority are in support of the World Logistics Center. These letters came in fairly regularly for the last year. I have read every single one of these. These letters are legitimate. I have actually cross-referenced a good portion of these letters with the voter registrars, or the Register of Voters list from when I ran for city council. Can you hold your applause so we can kind of keep the momentum going? I actually called several of these people in here just to verify, and the comments that are in these letters are 100% legitimate. They do reflect the person who signed the piece of paper. Granted, they're all typed, there's not one handwritten, but every single one of these comments reflect an actual person's opinions, and each one of these are all in District 3. Well, not each and every one of them, but a majority of them are in District 3, which is the district I live in. Back to the traffic that you're mentioning. One of my key things I was trying to decipher out of this traffic impact analysis and all the reports in front of us is, what would the city be like should the World Logistics Center have never been brought to the table and the existing Moreno Highlands specific plan be built out to its capacity? And the traffic report says that should the Moreno Valley Highlands specific plan be built out to its entirety, it predicts an average daily trip or traffic generation rate of 178,606 vehicle trips per day. That's a lot of cars, that's a lot of trucks, that's a lot of vehicles on the road. And it says, if you compare that to the World Logistics, which is anticipating 69,502 average daily trips, they're saying assuming zero truck trips are generated through the existing specific plan of Moreno Highlands, and comparing apples to apples, doing some math, the existing specific plan would generate more than double the amount of traffic proposed by the World Logistics Center. So if we're concerned about traffic, status quo would generate more traffic than what we are proposing tonight.
Exhibit. On this one, I might actually defer to the developer. Probably has the answer more at the tip of his finger. So.
Yes, that property will still be within the World Logistics Center, our property, and we will be maintaining it. What was suggested is whether it's a maintenance district or property owner association, nonetheless, the property owners of the World Logistics Center, us, namely, the district is just a financial mechanism to ensure long-term maintenance, but property owner association does the same. Sketches, for example, all the slopes, all the things along the freeway, and the front are all maintained by the property owner association. Essentially, it's us, we're the property owners. It'll be the same thing. We're responsible for maintenance of all those berms and slopes and landscape and so forth. One question was asked about the berm. The height of the berm is 15 feet along wetlands. So there's a minimum 15 feet height. It isn't a wall that comes up, it's sort of undulated, but it is at the peak 15 feet high. So it starts out with about 15 feet. As you're driving along the street, there'll be substantial landscaping along the road. I think we had an animation one time that we showed that was actual calibrated with GPS to essentially see what you will see driving in a car. So
I didn't notice.
A conversation we had with one of the property owners who did come in and spoke last meeting. It was, I believe it was Mrs. Newkirk, and she was the lady who was up at the board working with Mr. Benzivi about the impacts to her property. She is not identified as one of the homes
That was my
within
next question.
this area, but she had asked if there could be some consideration to include that. We had a conversation with Highland Fairview earlier today. They didn't give us a solid answer, but it sounded like they were open to the suggestion. I would just like to throw it out there that it was a request, since we're talking about this issue. I don't know if Highland Fairview has made a determination on that or not, but
That was
it
actually
a
my
request.
next comment I was going to go to, is it says, specified homes are to be offered air filtration systems at no charge. And it says there's 3 homes that are being offered the filtration system, but there's 7 homes immediately affected by that.
Well-
I wonder if we expand it from 3 to 7 homes, at least.
I just want to make it real clear also that this is something that was negotiated for the betterment of those residents. It was not identified as an impact. It was not a mitigation. This is not something that is an obligation. This was
It
something
was a
that,
nice thing for them to
it
do.
was a nice thing for us to try and get for them. So to expand it to all 7, since it's a negotiated agreement, I think it'd be fair to make sure that the developer was engaged in that discussion.
it's perfectly fine with us. Some of those homes are ours, but it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah.